Hey guys, how's it going? Mr. Gagnon here. Again, videos here are best played at 1.25 speed, as Google tends to slow down my voice. Okay, so let's jump right into induction. You just finished up your conduction video, and you've done some work and looked at the notes on NJCTL. You might have had to listen to a couple of their videos to decipher some of the material. Let's talk a little bit about induction. Okay, induction. Okay, I gave you the definition before. Is charging something without touching. Okay, so how the heck do we actually charge something without touching? Well, I'm gonna relay it to something that you guys are pretty familiar with. Some of you have much better phones than I have. I have a $59 Amazon phone, which I've recording these videos on, and thank goodness I've got some sort of technology to get this out to you. But some of you guys have some cool phones that you've got the iPhone and everything, and a lot of you have charging docks. So if you've got a charging dock that you just place your phone on, and the phone actually never gets plugged in and it still gets charged, that's a form of induction. It's a little different than what we're going to talk about. That's electromagnetic induction, which I don't think we're going to get to this year. But so that your phone can carry a charge and get a charge by not touching something. So look, here's what we got. We've got a situation where we have two objects. Okay, so one object is going to get charged by induction by another object. Okay, so this is a bit more difficult. I'm going to have you guys maybe play this a couple times and decipher it. But here we go. You get yourself a sphere. Okay, here's an insulated rod, so that way nothing flows down to the earth. Okay, and I'm going to work this we're going to work this as a series of pictures. So we're going to start off with a neutral sphere, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a rod. Now I could charge this positively and negatively. It doesn't matter. I'll do both with you. But let's say this rod is very negatively charged, okay? And let's not worry about the number of electrons here yet. All right, so what happens first? This rod is going to cause these electrons to flee and go to the very end of this. So I'm going to change that now. And look at that, with the miracle of the pause button, I can get that to disappear. All right, so look, these electrons here that we had two of them, they flee to this side of the sphere. All right, makes sense. The electron doesn't want to be close to this electron, so they get the heck out of there, and they kind of go as far away, and they hide over here in this side. Now, this, you remember the term, okay, that's polarized, okay? This is polarized. Now, let's say I take a wire, okay? So let's say I have this sphere grounded by a wire. Now tell me something. If I have this situation where I've got these negatives pushing these negatives to the edge of the sphere, where do you think these extra negative charges are going to go? You got it. Okay, they're going to flee down, down, down to the ground. By the way, this is the ground and it's the Earth, and the Earth really doesn't recognize just two electrons. So it still remains a neutral surface, like for all intensive purposes. So if these electrons flee all the way down to there, okay, again, I'm going to edit this. There's the power of the pause button. Now they flee down to the ground. They're down here. So now, this has not touched this yet. And if I remove this rod, those electrons are going to come right back up here. They're going to travel back up. But if I take a pair of scissors, or in my case, a little rubbing alcohol, and I cut, okay, I take and I cut that, as this is really close, then can the electrons come back up this wire to here? The answer is no. So here's your result. Here's your cut ground wire. So I've moved this rod away now. Okay, it's a negatively charged rod. And now I've cut the wire, and look what I have left. I have a positively charged sphere. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's pretty cool. I didn't even touch this object, and I was able to charge it positively. Now, I'm gonna stop here very quickly here in a second. Now, the reason why now there's several situations, and they're gonna ask you some questions in the homework, and so to challenge you a little bit, okay, I want to challenge you to think about it. And I'm also going to give you guys a situation, but what if I were to reverse that and make this rod here positively charged? Okay, so if I have a situation here where the rod, okay, here's our situation. The rod here, we're going to say has more positive charges on it. Okay, remember, positives don't like to move too much. Let's say I've got the same situation, and then like I'm going to have a ground wire attached to the ground, and this is insulated, and let's say this is so positives are going to pull, let's say here. Okay, well, what's going to happen is this. Here's your first step. I get real close. The positives are going to pull the negatives to this side. So take a look at what that looks like. Okay, here's your ground wire. Excuse the crudity of the picture. I want to fit it all in our 10-minute time window here. Look, so if I've got a positively charged rod here, right? Okay, it's going to pull the electrons to this side. Okay, so pulling the electrons to this side actually pulls the electrons close to this, and look what happens. This is pretty cool. This here is insulated. Nothing's getting up and down here. Okay, it's actually gonna pull electrons from the Earth until this thing becomes negatively charged now. So that's how I can charge this thing negatively by a positively charged rod. Now, okay, so if I pull this thing away before that thing is cut, this becomes neutral again. But if I cut the wire here, excuse my crudity, look at my hands. I get all black here. If I take and I cut the wire and then I move this rod away, then I've successfully taken and charged this sphere negatively. Okay, it's become negatively charged overall, which I think is pretty cool. Now I'm gonna leave it there. Okay, so there are some other situations that they're gonna ask you in the notes, and also in some of your homework questions. Okay, I'm gonna try to give you guys some time to decipher that, but that is induction for you. Okay, hopefully it helps you. And again, you'll have to take a look at the notes. Okay, you'll have to solve some of the questions, and so far we haven't really looked at numbers yet. We're going to get into that in the next couple videos. So hopefully everyone's safe, and I will talk to you later.